All right, let's just get right into it. If you've been following the tech world even casually over the last year or two, you know the massive industry-wide promise that was made to all of us. 2025 was universally hyped up by every major tech giant as the definitive year of the AI agent. We were told that by now, generative AI wouldn't just be drafting our emails, it would be autonomously executing complex workflows, managing our schedules, and fundamentally operating the world on our behalf. But, well, look around. The calendar turned, and that sweeping, world-altering paradigm shift, it just didn't happen. Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to look past all that hype and figure out what actually derailed this timeline. So why didn't that moment arrive? Why are we still sitting here waiting for the autonomous revolution? To answer this, we're not just going to point at everyday software bugs or delayed product launches. Instead, we're going straight to the source material, specifically drawing from a fascinating recent analysis in Wired to unpack the cold, hard mathematical reality behind why this highly anticipated shift missed its deadline. Section 1. The Fading AI Agent Year. The Shifting Timeline of Artificial Intelligence. Now, if you're feeling a bit skeptical about all the AI promises lately, your skepticism is totally validated by the shifting timelines. 2025 was supposed to be it, the expected year of the agent. Then, quietly, the narrative kind of shifted. The transformational moment got pushed to 2026. And now, for full life-automating AI, the timeline stretches out into this incredibly murky beyond category. The hype cycle just keeps pushing the actual realization of autonomous AI further and further into the future. But we have to ask, why? Section 2. AI Limits Shown by Math. The Mathematical Roadblock. To really understand this delay, we have to realize this isn't some simple technical glitch that's going to be patched in the next software update. We are looking at a fundamental mathematical barrier. Right in the middle of all the 2025 hype, a rather understated research paper was published called Hallucination Stations on Some Basic Limitations of Transformer-Based Language Models. The authors? Vishal Sikka, the former CTO of SAP and a genuine AI pioneer who actually studied under John McCarthy, along with his teenage prodigy son. Together, they used rigorous mathematics to essentially crush the vision of an AI agent paradise. They mathematically asserted that pure large language models, or LLMs, are simply incapable of performing highly complex, agentic tasks without eventually failing. Because of this, we really need to redefine a word you've probably heard a million times: hallucination. In this specific context, a hallucination isn't just the AI making things up or having a quirky moment of confusion. The Silka paper proves that it's a fundamental, structural, mathematical limit to transformer-based models. Think about it. These models are, at their core, highly advanced word prediction engines. Once you ask them to go beyond that simple prediction and perform complex, multi-step logical reasoning, well, the math basically guarantees that errors will eventually creep in. It is quite literally built into the architecture. When Vishal Sikka was asked about the real-world stakes of these findings, he posed this incredibly high-stakes analogy. Would you let an AI agent run a nuclear power plant? His own answer was absolutely not. If the underlying architecture mathematically guarantees that a hallucination will occur during a long enough chain of complex tasks, you simply can't trust it with mission-critical, zero-margin-for-error operations out in the real world. And look, even the biggest champions of AI are being forced to face this reality. Back in September 2025, an OpenAI scientist actually ran an experiment to test this exact issue. Step 1, they asked 3 major AI models, including ChatGPT, for the title of the lead author's actual thesis. Step 2, all 3 models completely fabricated the title. Step 3, all 3 models confidently got the publication year wrong. Following this, OpenAI begrudgingly admitted in a blog post that 100% accuracy is simply impossible for these models right now. The hallucinations are sticky, They aren't just going away. Which brings us to the immediate business impact. And I think it's captured perfectly by this quote from Himanshu Tyagi, the co-founder of the open-source AI firm Sentient. He says it so plainly. No value is created. Think about that for a second. If you deploy an AI agent to handle your company's logistics, but you have to constantly sit there monitoring it because you know a hallucination is mathematically inevitable, you aren't saving time. Dealing with these constant errors disrupts workflows so severely that businesses are literally hitting the pause button on full adoption. The promised value just isn't there yet. Section 3. Industry rebuttals and proposed solutions. Building mathematical guardrails. But of course, the tech industry isn't just taking this lying down. the pushback is coming from the absolute highest levels. In January 2026, at Davos, Nobel laureate and Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis announced new breakthroughs aimed specifically at minimizing these hallucinations. Meanwhile, startups like Harmonic, which was co-founded by Robinhood's Vlad Tenev and Stanford mathematician Tudor Achim, they're tackling this from a different angle, not by trying to change the LLM itself, but by using strict mathematical verification to effectively double-check the AI's homework. Let's compare these two frameworks side by side. On one side, we have pure LLMs. As the Sika paper proved, these are inherently limited by hallucinations. They are unconstrained. They will eventually make a mistake. But on the other side, we have LLMs plus guardrails. Companies like Harmonic are taking the output of the LLM and forcing it through a formal mathematical verification programming language, like one called Lean. The LLM might generate the code or the logic, sure, but the Lean language mathematically proves whether it's correct before it ever gets executed. It's almost like they are building a cage around the hallucination. Section 4. A bug or a feature. Rethinking AI mistakes. Up until now, we've been looking at hallucinations as a massive problem that needs to be solved. Now I want to introduce the synthesis of our debate by completely flipping your perspective on what a hallucination actually is. Listen to this quote from Tudor Achim, again, the co-founder of Harmonic, the very guy trying to build those mathematical guardrails. He says, "Hallucination is not a bug, it is a feature." Now that is a mind-bending reversal. Why on earth would the very thing preventing AI from being perfectly reliable be considered a feature? Well, there's actually a profound logic behind his statement. Hallucinations aren't just an accident. They're an inherent characteristic of how LLMs learn and operate. The exact same mechanism that causes an AI model to confidently lie to you about a thesis title is the exact same mechanism that allows it to be profoundly creative. It's making leaps of logic. It's connecting dots that don't exist. To generate novel insights, ideas that no human being could ever even think of, the AI must have the freedom to hallucinate. If you mathematically constrain an AI so tightly that it can never make a mistake, you also strip away its ability to surpass human intelligence. Section 5. Towards Cognitive Activity Automation, the Inevitable Paradigm Shift. So, where does this leave us? We've explored the shifting timelines, the mathematical limits, the guardrails, and the strange necessity of AI hallucinations. And honestly, the road ahead is going to be incredibly messy. Because the industry has no choice but to move forward. AI agents are coming, for sure. But initially, they will require constant human verification. And human nature being what it is, users are going to cut corners. People will trust the AI way too much, and there are going to be accidents. Some small, some potentially massive. However, despite all the mathematical debates, the march of progress is inevitable. Eventually, through a combination of better models and stricter guardrails, these agents will become faster, cheaper, and crucially more reliable than humans at an incredible range of tasks. Which brings us to the legendary computer pioneer Alan Kay. When he was asked about this whole debate over AI reliability, he urged people to stop getting lost in the mathematical weeds. Paraphrasing Marshall McLuhan, he noted, "The medium is the message." Kay's point is that we really need to stop agonizing over whether this specific AI tech is simply good or bad, or right or wrong. Instead, we need to step back and just see what is happening. We are watching a tectonic shift in human history unfold right in front of us. And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. The ultimate takeaway here isn't just about why the year of the AI agent got delayed. It's about recognizing the massive threshold we are currently crossing. We are standing right at the edge of the mass automation of human cognitive activity. We've automated physical labor before, sure, but never the actual act of thinking itself. Will this elevate our standard of living, or will it disrupt society completely beyond recognition? The math can't answer that for us, so I leave you with this one thing to ponder. What happens in a future where our cognitive activities are automated? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.